We're in a different studio today, Erik, so I feel like it's only right to change up the show completely off the top with a never asked before question. You ready?
Yeah.
We'll see you in 30 seconds. Happy Wednesday and welcome into the PHNX Sun Devils show. I am Anthony Totri, joined as always by Erik, Phoenix, Ruby. Of course, we got Captain Redbeard behind the Mac making all of the magic happen. Guys, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. We have a ton to get into today. If you guys saw on social media, Kenny Dillingham, the details of his contract extension have been released. A totally separate YouTube video that we have already recorded, posted on the YouTube channel. Go check that out after today's show. We're going to be getting into the thoughts and the ideas of trying to replace Cam Skattebo, over 2,000 all-purpose yards, over 20 touchdowns. The Sun Devils need to find a way to replace all of that. We're going to get into ASU hoops. We're going to get into Deion, Coach Prime Sanders, potentially leaving for the Dallas Cowboys, and so much more.
I know you have a question for me, but I have a question for you first.
You have a question for me?
Yeah, what's it going to take?
To
just stop.
Stop
the nickname that I don't like.
Venus?
Yeah.
If we get 100 likes on this video, on this one video, then I will not call you Venus anymore.
What do I have to do? Because they want it to still happen. But I don't care. This is about me right now. What do I have to do to stop hearing that name?
I think a portion of your salary.
Okay. You can call me whatever you want,
We can discuss off air. We'll discuss off air
want.
as a beat, and we'll see. Captain Redbeard, you got anything you think that would be worth doing this? Maybe he does the 24-hour stream solo?
Oh, my gosh. No chance.
I missed it. Sorry. Catch me up.
Yeah.
I want Phoenix to be over with.
Oh.
What's it going to take?
I'm asking what I can do to end this forever.
I mean, Speedo on the 24 hours.
I mean, there you go.
Yeah, no.
You do that for
forever.
If you wear a Speedo for 10 minutes, I will never call you Phoenix again.
Oh, I hate that. I shouldn't have asked. Let's move on. What's your question?
Look, I said in the cold open that because we're in a new studio today, I want to change things up, and I want everybody in the chat to answer this question as well. Of course, we're going to get into the Arizona State stuff. I promise, but I saw this question and I wanted to get Ruby and, of course, Captain Redbeard in the chat's thought on this. So, there's 1,000 grapes.
Love this is already awesome.
1,000 grapes. For each grape you eat, you get $50,000. But one of the grapes is poisonous of the 1,000. You don't know which one. Obviously, if you eat the poisonous grape, it's GG's. Right?
Okay.
How many grapes, if any, are you eating?
Do you guys remember when we were in the college football playoffs and we were talking about college football playoff football?
Yeah.
I would say out of all the grapes. Sorry, I just totally didn't mean to put that in there. I'd probably eat like 20, 25.
Wow, you're risking it.
20 or 25 to 1,000?
What's the percentage on that?
1/1000th of a percent.
But you're going for 20, 25 grapes.
It's so if 1 out of 100 is 1%, 1 out of 1,000 would be 0.01%.
Correct.
So
0.025%.
Yeah, it's a worthy
Sure Bus
risk.
is eating 999 grapes.
Worthy risk and reward. I think I would do like I thought that'd be on the conservative side. I think like 15 to 20. And just give me a nice chunk of change.
What about you, Captain Redbeard? How many grapes you eating?
500.
500 grapes.
Yeah, I'm going.
You're just risking it.
Yeah.
He does not care.
500.
I think I'm going like 10 grapes.
You're such a wimp.
Jeez,
what do you mean? 10 grapes, I'm getting $500,000, and my odds of survival are still very high. I've got double the odds that you have to survive. You're going for 20-25. He's doing 500 grapes.
Yeah, 500 is unnecessary. You don't need that much money.
I mean,
Like, you could use it. You could use it. But
come on.
Okay, but we're talking $50,000 a grape.
50.
Dude, you're telling me you're gonna get to 100 grapes and you're gonna be like, okay, I've significantly diminished the odds, but I'm gonna keep going, even though what's 100 times? You'd have $500,000 for free, and you're like, I'm gonna get another 50K and risk my life.
I like to test fate.
It is Captain
William
Redbeard
says
we're talking
300 max, 1.5 million for a 70% chance of survival. I've gotten less for more dangerous activities.
I like it.
Here's my thing is that I feel like I would be the type of dude that I'm like, grape number 7, I'm toast.
Oh, you just get really
toast.
unlucky.
Yeah, I'd be like, boop, 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 oh, I'm at 6.
Grape
and then I would
7.
die.
I mean, I feel like it's a good question.
I feel like
it's a valid question.
I feel like people are probably tuning in like, why are we
I
talking
feel like
about this?
you'd never. I mean, come on now, you know who you're talking about here. If you're tuning in today, then you know what you're watching.
This is very much like a June question, as Sharon says.
Well, it's a Studio A question. That's what it is. It's a Studio Grape question. That's where we're at. But I do want to get into Arizona State replacing Cam Skattebo, if you can even try and quote unquote replace that.
You can't fully, but you can do enough to where you're still a threat.
Yeah, I don't think you can replace the type of player that Cam Skattebo is, but you can try and replace the production that Cam Skattebo had this past season. We do have the numbers for everybody. We can go ahead and toss that up on the screen. That way you guys can get a look as to exactly what Cam Skattebo did this past season. 1,711 yards on the ground, 21 rushing touchdowns, 605 receiving yards, 3 receiving touchdowns, 42 passing yards, and 1 passing touchdown. You got to try and replace 25 total touchdowns, over 2,300 total yards of offense. How do you do it?
By trying your hardest.
Okay.
You can't just snap your fingers and replace what Cam Skattebo did. If you could, then it would make this past season from him mean nothing, right? If you could just walk into next season and get what Cam Skattebo gave you, even through 2 players, you would be like, oh yeah, then what Cam's doing is impressive. But like, he had one of the greatest individual college football seasons of all time. Not just in Arizona State history. It has an argument for greatest single season in Arizona State football history.
It is the greatest single season.
Which
in
is
Arizona
it's
State
you've had
history.
like, your Jake Plummer.
I don't even think there was a conversation.
There's probably
he broke the rushing
conversation.
touchdown record. He broke the rushing yard record, and he broke the all-purpose yard record.
I'm not saying I disagree with you. I just don't want to jump in and say there's no argument when I'm just not familiar
There is
with.
no argument. It was the greatest single season you ever saw from an Arizona State offensive player.
Okay. I'm not going to disagree with you. I'm just saying there's probably some argument somewhere for those who are more in depth with like the history of this program, like pre-Plummer. Like pre-Plummer.
Talking old.
Yeah. And with Cam, he is also not just an on-the-field contributor. He's an off-the-field kind of guy. We're talking about replacing Cam Skattebo. We're also talking about replacing how much the fans love him. The type of person he met, right? So you add all that together. He means so much. You're not just going to look at your running back room and say, you guys can make up for that. However, they could be really, really good. Like this could be a very dangerous running back room and maybe a more well-rounded running back room with the growth of Kyson Brown and the addition of Kanye Udoh.
Yeah.
Like that could be a very dangerous tandem with a couple other young backs and Raleek Brown being back. Like that's your primary, how do you start to replace that? I think your baseline as far as like the lower end talent in your running back room is raised going into next year, even if your height is not, a top 5 Heisman candidate.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Shortbus in the chat saying, okay, but let's factor in that Sam and Tyson really didn't click until the end of the season. What would those be if they were on point game 1? I think that's fair. And again, when we're talking about replacing Cam Skattebo, I'm talking more, again, I'm agreeing with you. I don't think you can replace the impact that he had as a player, as a legend, whatever. But I think, in all honesty, I genuinely believe that the Arizona State offense in 2025 will be a better offense, will be a more productive offense, and will be a more not in depth, but it'll just be a deeper group.
I don't disagree, because you're also banking on the growth, not only Short Bus saying like how Leavitt and Tyson grew at the end of the season. You're expecting both of those players to be better than the end of the season at the start of this next season, and hopefully progressively get better as well. And then you've also added a ton of wide receiver help now. You have a stacked running back room. You've added a little beef on your offensive line, plus you're returning a lot of your offensive line. And that does equal probably a more potent offense, right? So if the question is, how does Arizona State have a better offense than last year? Then those are all the answers. And yeah, that goes hand in hand with replacing Cam Skattebo. It's just coming with the sum of all parts going up versus the singular part being otherworldly.
Yeah, and that's what it is, right? That's the conversation. It's got to be the sum of all parts here, because I think getting Kanye, Udoh, getting like Jalen Moss, getting Kamari Anderson, some of these other guys, right, that you know are going to be key pieces, contributors, etc. They're going to be massive parts of this offense. I think, like you said, I think the tight end room is growing. Right? You've got a Chamon Metayer. You added Kamari Anderson, the tight end transfer from Kentucky. You're bringing back Jaden Fortier. You have AJ Ian now, that 4-star tight end, right? That's just the tight end room. Your wide receiver room, I feel more confident in, right? With Jordyn Tyson coming back, obviously you hope and pray that he's 100% by the time that season starts to get going, and I think he will be. And then you've got Jalen Moss, and then you've got Jaren Hamilton, and you've got some of those younger wide receivers, whether that be a Zechariah Sample or a Derek Eusebio. Like, there is so much talent on the perimeter now, right? Where it was so centric on what Cam Skattebo was doing on the ground, right? I know he had 605 receiving yards and a number of receiving touchdowns, but realistically, this offense was a run-first offense, right? We knew that going in. We said it in spring. We said it in fall camp. Now it feels like going into this next season, there will be a little bit of an identity shift, right? I know that they're still going to want to run the football with Kanye and Kyson and Raleek and McCaskill and all those guys, and I think that's valid, right? And you look at where Kenny's been as an OC. They've always had top 10 offenses or top 10 ground games with where Kenny's been offensively. But I feel like because of the weapons you have now at the perimeter, because of the talent that Sam Leavitt has shown just in year one at Arizona State in the system, I feel like you are going to open the entire offense up a little bit more versus what you saw last season, where it's like, hey, we're running with Cam Skattebo. Everybody in the building knows it. Try and stop it.
I think it's funny because, yes, it's an identity shift if you look at it a certain way, but it's not if you look at it this way, which is Arizona State's identity is your offense is going to be predicated on your best player, right? And your best, like thoroughly your best player. Cam Skattebo, that's why the offense was ground game, right? With Sam Leavitt now, it's not just the fact that Sam can air it out. I agree with you. That's going to open it up more if you're going from a running back to a quarterback as your identity, right? You're going to go to a little bit more passing. Plus, you do have better passing options this year. But Sam on the ground is absolutely lethal. And Sam's legs, I think, are going to be used as a very planned weapon.
I agree.
For counterattacks and to initiate things. I wouldn't be surprised if Sam ran a lot to start games and then kind of settled in. So your identity now goes to, how do we make the defense play off of Sam, right? And that is, of course, keeping them honest with Tyson and McClain and whoever in this wide receiver core that's been bolstered through the transfer portal and these young guys is going to step up, right? And then your running back room where you have maybe, you're watching Sam Leavitt, you think we're going to open it up. Kanye Udoh is perfectly capable of getting 1,000 yards in a season.
Yeah,
I think Kyson Brown is poised for a legitimate jump in all statistical categories, except for maybe yards per carry, because simply he's going to be getting more carries.
Yeah.
Right? So your offense is still going to be establish an identity on the ground, open it up through the air. But now you're looking at who's the main engine of that. It's Sam, which means that passing is going to become more of your bread and butter than it was this season. But even when you got later in the season, you saw that it's not that it changed, but it started to even out a little bit.
Yeah.
Right? From Wyoming to Texas, it went from mainly running and no passing to still mainly running, But now that gap is closing a little bit. I think it's just going to get a little bit closer. And I don't know if they're going to be pass first like most of the time.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll be pass first.
I think they'll be heavier in the pass game.
I agree. Big Tonk in the chat saying AJ Ia has been balling out in the Polynesian Bowl. Offense is going to be elite. Short Bus saying Iguano is a gem finder. We will be fine.
Facts.
Totally agree. And then Aaron saying don't sleep on Alton McCaskill. Really interested to see Alton McCaskill's role this season. If there is one, right? You look back to last season, I thought you would see a little bit more Alton McCaskill than you did this past year. Obviously, it was all Kyson and Scat, the Carlos Brooks from time to time, and then Raleek for the limited time that he was healthy.
I don't even consider Raleek for this past season as somebody like. I think he'll be good next season. But even when he played.
That's all I'm saying.
But even when he played,
McCaskill didn't play outside of the first game.
Yeah. I feel like McCaskill is definitely somebody that I'm interested to see what their plan is for them in spring and fall ball if he does get any consistent reps. Jason Brown, been a couple comments. William and Short Bus saying Jason Brown is him though. Keep that kid happy and here at all costs. And then Shay says 2025 is going to be fire, which
I agree.
It is true. It's really exciting to be able to talk about these positional battles or even talk about how do you replace Cam Skattebo.
Yeah.
And there is a legitimate plan, right? Like there's the groundwork for this team to improve, be better, and replace possibly the greatest singular season the school's ever seen. Yeah. And sometimes when you come off of that high, you're like, oh, well, where do you go? Where's the path? And that's the benefit of you've been building for sustained success rather than microwave success. And even though you got hotter faster, you still have your building blocks and your foundational pieces that losing an all-time talent like Skattebo isn't a death sentence in the immediate year following.
I agree. Jackson Settles in the chat saying Kyson, Raleek, and Kanye is a three-headed monster.
3 different backs, too.
Three totally different
really
backs.
Interesting.
3 totally different backs.
Is Kyson like if Kanye and Raleek met in the middle? Like it's like the evolution of Pokemon? I
don't think Kyson is as fast as Raleek, and I don't think he's as strong as Kanye.
That's what I'm saying,
I would say,
right?
yeah, he's
stronger
a little
than
bit
Raleek and faster than Kanye, though. Is he faster than Kanye?
I don't know.
Kanye's just bigger. I think you usually assume the bigger guy's slower, but Kanye's really fast.
Yeah. I mean, again, I love the position that this offense is in. It is certainly going to be a fun team to watch in 2025. I'm really, really excited to see what Arizona State looks like, especially offensively with the guys that they added up front, the talent at the wide receiver and tight end position, and then, of course, a new look running back room with Sam Leavitt obviously leading the entire thing. Look, before we get too deep into the weeds of what 2025 is going to look like for the Arizona State offense, on the other side of this break, we're going to jump back to 2024 and give out some awards for maybe the most magical season in Arizona State
Why are
history.
you yanking us around, man?
Sorry, man.
Forward, backwards.
Sorry. That's what I do.
Grapes, poison.
What
a first segment.
All of that after the break. Erik, I want to wish you and everybody watching a happy National Hat Day.
For me, this is a big day.
I know it's a big day.
And you know how I had to celebrate.
You're celebrating accordingly with your branded Bills cap. Which one did you go with today?
This one is, I'll turn it around this way. Let's get the one shot here, Kyle. This is the branded Bills Arizona State hat in a fire emblem right here with like the shoelace thing. I don't even really know what to call it. But this thing, listen to this. Hold up.
What are we doing here?
That's the emblem right there.
Yeah.
Like that's a real rubber emblem that looks real good. Sorry, I'm just doing your ad read.
No, it looks great. It looks great. Look, whether you need snapbacks, truckers, fitteds, beanies, or tees, Branded Bills has you covered, of course, with performance and with style. They've got partnerships, of course, with Arizona State. Do some charity work on the side with, the folks down south. U of A as a part of their campus collection. And if you're looking for some gear to make your personal brand stand apart from the crowd, Branded Bills has you covered with the best custom headwear in the game. Head to brandedbills.com. Use that code PHNX for 20% off your first order.
If you are looking to sell your home, I want you to get out a pen and I want you to write this number down, 480-776-5231. I have to remind you, you have to have a home to sell one.
Oh,
Anthony
gotcha,
Totri, right. But
Just
if you're looking to buy a home,
bus.
Carol's there for you too. But I'm talking to you if you are selling. It is hard to make the right decision because you're trusting somebody when you want to go sell your house. Well, I highly recommend trusting Carol Royce. You ask me why? Well, they have an unbeatable track record, having sold over 12,000 homes across the valley. She knows the Arizona real estate market. That's because her real estate team is family-owned and locally operated through 3 generations. You live here for 5 years, 10 years, you know the place. You live here through 3 generations. You know every street like the back of your hand.
Long time.
And you can rest easy knowing you're making the guaranteed choice. Your home sold for 100% of the market value, or Carol will pay you the difference. If you're considering selling your home in 2025 or beyond, the name to trust is Carol Royce, your home sold guaranteed realty. Have questions? Call that number I gave you at the beginning, or visit Carol online at carolroyceteam.com. That's carolroyceteam.com.
Short Bus in the chat saying, I wore my branded Bill ASU hat. I wanted the watch party on stage. Can I get a deal?
That's awesome. You're like a celebrity.
He is a celebrity.
He's a micro influencer.
Dude, if you've never seen Short Bus do stand up, he's so funny. He's so funny.
He's a funny guy.
I need to go see Short Bus again, to be honest with you.
Then do it.
It was really good.
Put your money where your mouth is.
I will. I absolutely will. Will in the chat saying that I'm a Roman philosopher, future, past, and grapes from the vine. Would you agree?
No.
No?
Shay says, by the way, PHNX, thank you for covering our Devils. Love you guys. We love you, Shay.
Appreciate
Thank
you,
you
Shay.
for being here, Shay.
You. Look, I do want to get into some ASU Football 2024 awards.
You're yanking us backwards.
I know. Back and forth. It's where we go. Okay?
Stop yanking us around.
Okay, man. You need to calm down.
I'll let it happen this
down.
time, okay?
You need to calm down. Okay? We're just going in rewind. That's all. Okay? Look back, 2024. It's okay. Always live you got to live with the past.
I mean, it's only been 2 weeks.
This month's going
Isn't that crazy?
Quick,
I feel like it's been slow. It's
Really?
quick and slow. Like
We're halfway through January.
that feels like 5 months ago. Like the Peach Bowl feels like 5 months ago.
We're almost a 12th of let's see. No, I'm not going to.
We are 1/24th of the way through the year.
1/24.
We're half of a month.
Oh yeah, there you go.
I nailed that.
You did. Good job.
Should I get an award?
No. What would the award be?
Best at math on the show.
On the show? I mean, sure. If you want that award, you can have
Can
that
you
award.
get me a graphic made?
No, I can't actually.
Right, let's talk about real awards.
Yeah, let's talk about real awards here. Most valuable player. Any candidates that you want to throw out there?
There have been a lot of very valuable players.
Yeah.
But we just dedicated an entire segment to somebody. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful to anybody else, but I think everybody on the team would agree it was one person.
Yeah, this is who is getting the MVP for last season. Of course.
Sorry, did I step on that?
Skattebo. No, not too bad.
I mean, this of all the awards,
this is the most obvious.
This is impossible. And it's, again, not like he didn't have competition. Sam Leavitt was great. I think Kenny Dillingham, definitely in contention for this award. If Jordyn Tyson stayed healthy, I think he'd be in contention.
Yeah.
There are some defensive players that we'll get to that would be in contention. But it would just be contention.
Yeah.
Because
Cam Skattebo was the guy.
This award forever will be Cam Skattebo.
It will be. He was the most valuable player on this team, and I think you saw that in the Peach Bowl. You saw it in the Big 12 championship game. Without a top wide receiver in Jordyn Tyson available in either one of those games, Skat turned up the way that he's turned up all season long. Again, broke ASU's single season record for rushing touchdowns, rushing yards, all-purpose yards. This guy was everything to this offense, and he was a lot of that locker room as well, just in terms of what Kenny said, setting the culture for what this program is going to be moving forward. Cam Skattebo, like you said, there were other players in contention for this award, but it stopped there at contention. Cam Skattebo was the Arizona State MVP.
We literally just, like I said, we did a segment about how do you replace Cam Skattebo, and our answer, in short, was every single player has to be better.
Yeah.
Basically, how do you replace one guy through the 100-something players on the roster all being better?
Yeah.
That's how you are somewhat able to replace Cam Skattebo.
Now, Offensive Player of the Year.
So are we taking? I think we got to take into account Jordyn Tyson, Sam Leavitt.
Jordyn Tyson had a phenomenal season.
Leaf, Ben
Sam
Coleman?
Leavitt, I think. I think you can argue again the offensive line to an extent.
I think offensive line as a unit is in the conversation. I think Sam Leavitt is in the conversation,
Agreed.
and I think Cam Skattebo is in the conversation. I don't know if this is like the NFL where we're going to alternate or whatever. Like, I don't know exactly what the rules are.
Yeah.
I mean, I do, but I'm, playing along here. I don't think
the
you can
fact that you played along and then said that you were playing along.
It makes it more fun. It's more like inside baseball. We're all here together, right? We're all having a good time. I think Tyson's out of it.
Really?
Yeah, you don't play the final, 2 games of the season, the most important ones. Nothing against him, but like, we're talking about full season MVP, you have to include the biggest performances in the two biggest games, and to no fault of his own, he couldn't, right?
Yeah.
So I think he would have been in the conversation for regular season, but again, it took him some time to warm up along with Sam. Then there are really only two consistents, Cam Skattebo and your offensive line. Where are we going? Take me home.
Let's see. The offensive player of the year for 2024.
Oh, what a
of
shocker.
course, Cam Skattebo.
Who would have thought?
Of course, just kind of cleaning up the offensive.
We really started with the nail
awards
biters here.
I mean, Cam Skattebo, just overall dog, right? I mean, he, like we said, every game, and I think this is why for me why he won Offensive Player of the Year, right?
Okay.
Is because every single game, despite Sam Leavitt, despite Jordyn Tyson, despite the strengths that Chamon Metayer had, despite the offensive line, their pros, their cons, going into every game, every defense knew that Cam Skattebo was the key. You had to stop Cam Skattebo if you wanted to beat Arizona State. It wasn't that Sam Leavitt was the guy that you needed to stop. It wasn't that Jordyn Tyson was the guy that you needed to stop.
Yeah.
Didn't matter the opponent, didn't matter the week, didn't matter when kickoff time or where it was. Number 4 was the guy that you had to slow down. And if you didn't, then you lost the ball game.
Done. Cooked.
That's exactly why Cam Skattebo won Offensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you at all. Again, there are people in the conversation, but they're just in the conversation. No disrespect to them. I think they would all agree.
Now we can get into some ones that are a little bit more
this next
open.
one, I really am interested to see what chat thinks
Okay.
about this next one.
Defensive Player of the Year. Where would you go? What 3 or 4 candidates would you throw out there for Arizona State Defensive Player of the Year in
You know
2024?
it's awesome when I'm like, only 3 or 4?
Yeah.
You had Ghost, who led the team in tackles, right? I don't know if he was the best defensive player, though.
No, but
I think you
certainly had an impact.
Right. I think you have Xavier Alford, Shamari Simmons.
Yeah.
CJ Fight. CJ Fight was pretty consistent.
He was a
this year.
really good player. I don't know if he was one of the top 3 players defensively.
No, but we're talking like who on the line, because I've picked all people who are back. Who on the line would you
I don't
throw
know
in
if
that
there's anybody
conversation?
on the line that would be in the top 3.
And
At least based off
but
this
let's-
past year.
but
They all had good seasons.
Let's not say top 3 though. But if you had to pick, like, I agree. I
If I had
think
to pick somebody on the line.
that secondary unit, I think that you could basically name most players who started. I think the 3 that I named would be the top 3. It's so hard with Ghost over Javen and Keith, because
Alford.
well, I think X is in the top 3. X is in the top 3. I think Shamar is in the top 3. I think those are 2 stamped,
Mhm.
right? Then you look at that. If we're just doing top 3, right? Top 3 finalists, it's going to come from the secondary. You're looking at everybody else, right? You're going to have Ghost, Javen, and Keith. I don't know where those 3 fall for me. They all have 3 kind of very different strengths.
They do.
Sharon says Shamari or Ghost. Short Bus says X. Did X even miss a game? I don't think so.
I don't think so, no.
Sean says Ghost. Probably Shamari or Ghost. I'll say the final 3 would be Ghost then. I think just you got to respect the numbers, the consistency of it. And then I would go Javen Keith.
Okay. Well, without further ado, this is your 2024 Defensive Player of the Year for Arizona State. None other than Shamari Simmons, Defensive Player of the Year. I was going through and just, again, watching Shamari and the impact that he had this season, game over game, was just, it was ridiculous. Again, a guy that you have to give credit for moving positions from safety to nickel corner, and really not missing a beat, right? When Ed Woods left, when Cole Martin went down, even though Shamari was getting the start ahead of Cole, to be able to really take on that position and own it and really boost his draft stock, boost this defense overall as a group. And, you saw the impact without him in the first half of that Peach Bowl, right? Not having him for the first
Game's totally different.
It's a totally different game.
I mean, it sucks to continue to play the hypothetical game, but if Jordyn Tyson plays or if Shamari Simmons plays the first half, you win that game. I don't think that is, with the way the game was played, I don't think that that's a crazy thing to say.
I would agree.
Shamari has the perfect mix of everything that we talked about with the people who are in contention, big memorable plays that have been in important games, right? But overall consistent stats, right?
Yeah, 72 total tackles, 4 forced fumbles this year.
And what did Miles have? 80?
Miles had, I think, 98 tackles.
98.
Yeah, he had a ton of tackles. He was all over.
So many
He
tackles.
was all over
That's
the field.
so many, dude.
It was
Shout
all
out,
over the
shout
field.
out to him.
And he's coming back next year.
Oh, he's gonna be
Shamari
great.
is not, though.
No, Shamari's not. Shamari's an NFL player. I think Shamari and X is a good argument. Short Bus said leader. Sean puts it best in the chat. Love that we have options. I
Yeah.
think if you
Caleb McCullough
gave
was
it,
an option.
I think for like the the line and I think Fight, McCullough, Keyshawn. Those would probably be my three outside of the secondary that I would say.
But look,
were
at this
in
point, we've
contention.
talked about over half the
We're
defense.
basically all the starting defense.
Yeah.
Right. I think Shamari, Ghost, X, solid top three. And I think any of them could have won.
You could
And
argue Javen's
I would say-
interception against
well,
BYU is the
Javen,
reason that
I
we
would
got
say
to this point in the season.
out of everybody, the biggest plays this year were made by Javen Robinson.
Yeah.
I don't think is there an argument? Is there an argument
his
against
pick
that?
six against BYU was the biggest play of the
The
season.
pick BYU pick against Texas.
Yeah. Yeah.
Massive
That was a
pick.
great interception, by the way.
Against Texas. Javen's been put in some tough spots and really
I'm really excited to
thrived.
see what he does next year.
Yeah, dude, it's freaking January, man. You gotta wait till August.
I know, it's so sad. Well, no, you got spring ball in
No,
March.
for like the season.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
Oh, we're gonna love spring ball. We're gonna love fall ball. We'll love Camp T, but like nothing scratches that itch like regular season ball.
That's fair. Like regular season ball. Well, look, we still got plenty more awards. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button as well. Drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts. 3 more awards: Most Improved Player, Freshman of the Year, and Comeback Player of the Year. We are going to get to all of those and so much more on the other side of this break.
130, pretty big number, right?
Pretty big number.
Pretty big number. That's how many dispensaries Pure Edibles is available in the state of Arizona. And the best part about Pure Edibles, it's hard to decide because there's a lot of options. You could go with the best part being the fact that they're a legitimate candy company. So they're not just taking
Are they
something
really?
they're not just taking something that's poorly flavored and throwing sugar on it and saying it's an edible.
That's incredible.
Right? It's legitimately good candy, whether it's Kix, which is their version of Starburst, which basically tastes identical. Chews, soft candies like caramels,
that taste like candy.
or hard candies as well.
We saw these in the office.
Oh, we have some in.
Oh,
Come
I'm
on,
gonna go
dude.
see Max after this.
Yeah, Pure Edibles. Also, the best part that you can go down is the fact that they tell you what the effects is: balance, sleep, uplift, relax, unwind, bliss, whatever it is. They use THC, CBD, CBN, CBG, all
Jeez.
mixed together. And go find yourself some delicious, wonderful Pure Edibles products made from one of the over 130 dispensaries in Arizona.
Well, it's kind of ironic going from edibles that taste like candy to drinks that taste like candy as well.
But candy in a way that's like real, not
It is.
fake artificial
It
stuff.
is.
Just tastes good.
You know, we're talking about neutral. Keep it tasty, Tempe. Of course, this is your public service announcement for hard seltzer lovers. Neutral vodka seltzer has arrived. I know we've even had some people in our diehard Discord that maybe have been on the fringe, right? On the cusp of going and trying neutral, and they just go do it, and they throw a picture of like
You
a
never
12
regret
pack in there. It is so dang good, and a big reason is because they use simple ingredients, right? Not a ton of stuff, but we're talking vodka, seltzer, and real juice. It really is that simple, and the flavor is, might I say, wonderful, because they've got a ton of different flavors: pineapple, watermelon, black cherry, orange, and so many more. Neutral, keep it tasty. Enjoy responsibly. 2024 Anheuser-Busch Neutral flavored vodka and carbonation, St. Louis, Missouri. How you doing, Rubus?
I'm loving this.
Yeah,
I love this team,
yeah.
and I'm very happy
This
that
team, this team,
I mean, yeah, PHNX Sun Devils, the ultimate team,
yeah. This is
the team,
This is
the
squad.
dream team.
This squad. This is what this is.
If there was a most valuable podcast award
Ooh.
for the Sun Devils,
Ooh.
are we cleaning up?
If there was an MVP award for just like here,
No, for just ASU podcasts.
oh, man.
There's so many good options.
There's
but,
a lot of great podcasts. out
but
there.
I mean, none of them have Captain Redbeard.
no, Captain Redbeard is the MVP.
That's like the difference maker. If it's up to us, who cares?
yeah. Nobody
Captain
cares
Redbeard?
about us. Captain Redbeard.
Captain Redbeard moves the needle.
though. Man, oh man. I wish everybody could have seen there's a moment of this past season that will stick with me until the day I die.
Story time.
And it was after, I think it was maybe our first night in Texas.
Okay.
And we had obviously done the show. We had gone to the bar and done all that stuff. And we were going back, and we had already figured out that you and I, unfortunately, had to share a bed, right?
Ended up being the best choice.
And Kyle was going to get the
pull-out
couch.
Yeah.
And so I will never forget him laying down in that pull-out couch, if you want to even call it that. And then I think it was you pulling out the bottom of it, right, to extend the bed. And Kyle just falling through the bottom of the couch. It was just such a mid. It was just such a mid sleeping arrangement.
That was the worst pull-out couch I've ever seen.
It was
so
funny.
fun. It was really
It was
funny because
so
it was
funny.
such a big
12-year-old.
deal on the show. Voting, like everybody was like wanting to help Kyle out, and then it ended up being the worst option.
It definitely was the worst option.
Sean has it right though. The diehards are the MVPs. I mean, we're just
Yes.
silly and
Yes.
stupid little people with their
Jeez.
microphones in front.
Wow.
It's the diehards that
You
make
really,
it worse.
I mean, silly, stupid people? That's what we are to you?
Sorry, I need to censor myself.
Yeah. Jeez, man. Come on now. I thought we had a closer relationship.
So who do you have for most improved player on the roster?
I think you could look at a couple different people, right? And I know there's going to be some people that maybe listen to this back that are like, okay, maybe Elijah O'Neal, because I think Elijah O'Neal definitely had a really, really strong season. I think you could make a serious argument for Caleb McCullough as well on the defensive side of the ball.
I think Caleb McCullough. I think that you can make an argument
For Cam Skattebo.
Walk with me. I mean, yes, Cam Skattebo. Sam Leavitt.
You could.
Because think about like last year, nothing really at all. And then watch the improvement over this year. Is he the player that from game 1 to the Peach Bowl final seconds, has he not been the one who has improved the most? I know that's not usually how most improved works, right?
Yeah.
It's somebody
Normally
who played,
it's like a year over year.
Like usually like the year over year, whoever legitimately played before it improved. Because like this season will be the baseline that Sam Leavitt is judged on.
Yes, exactly.
Right? But he has
I agree.
improved quite a bit.
Yeah, I would agree. I'd love to hear what everybody else thinks in the chat. Sean saying the amount of growth that Sam Leavitt had from the start of the year to the end of the year. In agreement with you on that front, which is a rare thing for anybody.
I think Sam Leavitt, if you change how you give out the most improved player award, would win the most improved player award. But if you give it out based off of the standards before, which is your play last season, like Sam's basically considered a rookie, right?
Freshman.
It would be like if in the NBA, like Blake Griffin, who did like a medical red shirt but like medically sat out his first year. He went back, he won Rookie of the Year the next year. It'd be like if he won Most Improved Player too. It's like you didn't play last season.
Yeah.
Like that's not how that award works. So if we put that aside, I think Caleb McCullough, Elijah O'Neal, I think Keith Abney has to be thrown in there. Keith was somebody that, you as somebody who followed the team a lot closer than I did, just because you were actually covering them the season before, was somebody that I started to keep my eyes on at the beginning of camps.
Dude, I was hammering the table.
Because of what you were saying, and that was completely the right move. He had an incredible season. I think CJ Fight improved.
Yeah, I would agree.
On what was already a good season for him. Anybody on offense?
I mean, you could make an argument, Jordyn Tyson.
Jordyn Tyson. Tyson's tough because you do have to like incorporate
the injury
like
factor.
Another award we're gonna give out later, which is comeback player of the year. Like I think his kind of ascension falls more into that. Cam Skattebo certainly is in the conversation for most improved player. Some would argue the jump from good to great is harder than middle of the pack to good.
Yeah.
Lots of good. Hey, stop me if you heard this one before. Lots of good options.
Lots of good options. But this is who we're going with for most improved player last year. It is, of course, Keith Abney.
Deserved.
Keith Abney, a guy who, again, you have to think about last year, right? Last year did not play a ton, was behind a couple corners at Arizona State. And then really this year was thrown into the fire, right? Obviously, you got the addition of Javen Robinson, LaTerrence Wells, some of these young guys, but Keith established himself as a true number one corner, as a true perimeter guy that you could say, hey, this is the team's opposing number one wideout. You have to go out and you have to shut him down. And I feel like he did that more often than not. especially in conference play.
Yeah.
He had to go up against some giants in this conference, whether we're talking about Totri, McMillan, the dudes that they had over at Iowa State, and then of course
even
in the
some
Texas
of the bad
game.
teams like Oklahoma State had
like a
good
Brennan
receiving
Presley
options.
too,
and Deshaun Stribling. Yeah, I think this is well deserved for Keith. And he is the story of a lot of these players that are going to come to Arizona State next year and are not going to get a lot of playing time.
Yeah.
Right. We talked about AJE, obviously completely different position, but the blueprint's the same. You come in as a young player, you play a very little bit, you get in the system, you come in next year, and you can be, again, somebody that we talked about in contention for MVP of their side of the ball.
Agreed.
Right. Like this is the method that Kenny Dillingham and their staff is laying down is look at what Keith Abney's doing, right? That's one of the ways that you can get to being great. And I think Keith showed that this year.
Sleeper for most improved player next year?
Leavitt.
Montana Warren.
Montana Warren would be big time. That would be if Montana gets the starting nickel spot
and eats,
then I think Montana. I think you can look at it could be back to back from Keith. If he establishes himself as one of the best in his position in the conference.
Yeah.
The leap from good to great or from really good to great, you look at X, right?
Yeah.
Can X become the defensive player of the year in the Big 12?
Yeah.
Right? Like that's on the table. Offensively, Kyson.
Yeah. That's a good one. Kyson, Chamon.
Sean Na.
Yeah, Sean Na, and any of those guys, to be completely honest with you. JJ.
Why'd you laugh?
In the chat, what's your guys' thought on portal receivers? Anyone you guys expecting to be the next Jordyn Tyson?
No.
Not this year.
Not this. You weren't going to try and get another Jordyn Tyson in the portal unless their last name was Branch. So,
but Jalen Moss will be.
Moss will be good.
Jalen Moss, I think, will be better than people think. I think he will be 100%.
Might put up similar numbers to what he put up in Fresno State, but will be more impactful.
Take that.
Will be more impactful. I think it's going to be interesting out of Jaren, who they just got the other day.
Cam Dyer, too.
Cam Dyer, who's going to be a freshman.
6'4".
6'4", wide receiver, Gatorade Player of the Year, who also plays quarterback.
Who
plays quarterback, which means he's going to understand Sam Leavitt. Yeah. Right, that's going to be really important for building quick chemistry.
Look at you learning ball,
dude. I think
look
I'm
at
cooking.
You learning ball, there, dude. Cooking. I love that.
No, it's been you most improved.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, honestly,
most improved.
Hey, there you good stuff, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Good stuff. I love that from you.
We could probably do like 15 minutes on the wide receiver room. We'll save that for another day. It's a good question.
Maybe some summer stuff.
Yeah,
we'll dive into it. You want to get into freshman of the year? This one feels a lot like MVP.
Do we just want to do this one quickly?
We could do this one quickly. Of course, your freshman of the year is Sam Leavitt, QB1 for the Arizona State Sun Devils. Showed remarkable development and an evolution in his game, I think, from the start of the season to the end of the season. The trust that he had in his wide receivers, the command of the offense, I think was something that you really saw Sam grow on week over week, game over game. And I don't think there was another freshman that you could realistically say had a better season maybe in this conference than Sam Leavitt.
He was at one point the best quarterback in the college football playoffs.
Yeah.
He was in contention for multiple other awards. And he was born in 2000.
I think he did win Big 12 Freshman of the Year.
I'm just talking about our awards, the most important awards. And he was born in 2004.
Yeah.
So
that's wild. That's wild to me. Hunter in the chat saying, can either of you guys confirm Cam Dyer is a wide receiver, though? Brad Denny on X said he's going to get a look at QB.
A look at QB doesn't mean that you are a QB.
No. Yeah. When Cam Dyer first got recruited here, it was to be a wide receiver. With Sam having fully taken hold of that QB1 spot.
Jeff Sims coming back.
Jeff Sims coming back. I think Dyer is certainly going to be a wide receiver. Again, you can experiment with him.
Packages, right? Like I think at least in practice you'll see, even if we can't like report on it, you'll see Cam Dyer at quarterback every once in a while.
I agree.
But primarily
wide receiver.
And probably not getting a ton of burn anyway. To be honest.
No. I mean, honestly, he's probably redshirting.
Yeah, there's a chance. There's for sure a chance. And if he redshirts, then, I mean, maybe QB is on the table.
Potentially.
Depending on what happens with Sam.
If I'm Dyer, I am doing everything possible to soak up knowledge in that wide receiver room, knowing that Jordyn Tyson is gone after this year.
Yep.
And I'm going to be one of the bigger wide receivers here. I can learn from Hines Ward.
And has a pedigree.
And I'm 100% doing everything possible to try and be wide receiver 1 years down the line.
Yeah.
Because Tyson's gone. I think Jalen Moss will be gone after next year as well. So there's going to be clear holes in the wide receiver room. In places for some of these guys.
Might be a hole in the
up.
quarterback room too, depending on one of these young guys too. You could put yourself in a position to do whatever is needed of you, and he might be good enough to do both. That is a down the line question. You want to finish off awards for looking back? We keep on yanking around forward and backwards.
Let's go ahead and finish our awards here. Comeback Player of the Year. I feel like you could argue 2 people: Jordyn Tyson,
sure,
and Xavier Alford.
And for different reasons too, which I think is interesting.
Yeah,
injury and suspension.
Not even suspension, just NCAA.
Yeah, suspension
having their head up their bum.
Harsh way to put it. Is there anybody else?
No, I think it's those 2, to be completely honest with you. Xavier Alford is getting Comeback Player of the Year for his performance last season. Obviously, he's coming back this year. So I think ASU fans certainly should be excited about that. This guy was, he went through so much when he first got to ASU, not being able to play. And then having the season that he did, being that vocal leader in the locker room, on the field, having that type of impact, Xavier Alford is a world-class type of player, type of person, type of human being. And I don't think you could have a better award winner for Comeback Player of the Year than Xavier Alford.
Got nothing else to add.
Nothing else to add?
That was beautiful.
Do you want to get into ASU Hoops?
Let's do it.
On the other side of this final break.
Proud of you for wrapping that up so beautifully.
Thanks, man.
I'm proud that PHNX is a partner with Sanderson Ford, our official vehicle partner. You can drive into the new year in a new Ford from Sanderson Ford. It's a new year, a new vehicle. Makes for a new you. Everybody wants a new you in 2025. Sanderson Ford can help you get there. They have so much that you can choose from. You can take the whole family out in style and save $11,000 off a new Expedition.
$11,000?
That's a lot of money. Or hit the trails and make your own trail in a new Bronco Badlands. That feels like the car for you. Sanderson has 28 to choose from with discounts up to $10,000 off. They also took in hundreds of quality trade-ins during their year-end sale and have 25 pre-owned vehicles with a warranty for under $25,000. For the best deals in 2025, choose Sanderson for no hassle, no pressure, no nonsense, and get more for your trade-in with easy on-the-spot financing. Drive to the new year in a new Ford with Arizona's most awarded Ford dealership, Sanderson Ford.
Look, go get yourself a new car with Sanderson Ford, and also maybe enter to win a Lamborghini. How do you feel about all of that? Look, Gila River Resorts and Casinos, they're doing a really fun giveaway here. Get ready to rev your engines for the $350,000 Lamborghini Lux giveaway. Here is how you guys can win. Play to win every Friday in January and February. You guys are going to have the chance to win cash, free bonus play, or qualify for the grand finale drawings. It's going to be weekly drawings. Join them every Friday at 7 p.m. for those drawings. And then, of course, the grand finale. Join them for the grand finale on Saturday, March 1st at Wild Horse Pass, where one lucky winner, hopefully it's me, is going to drive away in a Lamborghini. It would be super, super sick. Don't miss your chance. This is your opportunity to experience the thrill of luxury and speed. Visit every Friday for your chance to win big. Remember, you do you at Gila River Resorts Casinos. Visit playatgila.com for more details or check out the link in the description below. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button.
Please.
Please, pretty please.
Please.
Look how nice he's asking.
Come on.
He's asking so nicely.
If you haven't done it already.
We went with a one shot on that.
Please. If you're listening on audio, even if you only listen on audio, which is great. I'm not asking you to stop listening on audio, but if you got time, go open up that YouTube app. Go over to PHNX Sports. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. Even if you just listen on audio. And if you don't listen on audio and you're on YouTube, go to the audio feeds and subscribe. Is it really that much to ask?
You sound
so pathetic.
So pathetic.
That was so pity party. In my head, I'm like, how pathetic can I get?
Wah.
Just groveling.
It's just bad.
I don't even want your Keep it.
No.
Don't even want it.
We do.
Don't even want it.
We do.
Don't even want
If
it.
it's not for us, maybe do it for Bobby Hurley and the Arizona State Sun Devils.
Do it for Kyle. That's
They
gonna
need-
rally the people more.
Maybe they just need a little bit more support. Maybe that's what
that's
it
what's
is.
missing. That's
Look,
why.
If you
that's
guys,
why this is happening.
If you guys had the displeasure of watching the Arizona State
It was a close
basketball
game.
game, it doesn't matter. An L's an L. I don't care if it's close. I don't care if you get slaughtered. I don't care what it is. An L is an L. And that's what happened for the Arizona State Sun Devils. I want to get to By the Numbers, presented by Desert Financial Credit Union, Arizona's #1 credit union, named by Forbes. Of course, Erik, the only number that matters is that final score. UCF coming out on top over the Devs, 95-89, leading scores on both sides. BJ Freeman had a night, 26 points for him. On the other side, though, Keyshawn Hall was a man amongst boys.
Legend.
A 40-burger.
Jeez.
Just the second player in Big 12 history to have 40 points, 5 boards, and 5 assists in a win. I'll ask you who the other one was a little later. In
what?
terms
I
of
don't know.
combined shooting from the floor last night, Arizona State 53% to UCF's 51%. From three-point land, 50% for the Sun Devils, 46% for the Knights. In terms of the charity stripe, 65% for ASU, 81% for the Knights. What do you think?
Well, less about the numbers. You said there was, no positives from the game.
I didn't say there was no positives.
You said it was over. Who cares?
It is over.
Yes.
They lost.
Overall Big 12. I mean, we talked about needing to win these upcoming games. I said 2-1 against West Virginia, Cincinnati, UCF. You're 0-1 now, meaning you have to go 2-0. Which
And
with
West
this team,
Virginia's a good team.
Cincinnati was ranked recently.
Yeah.
Hasn't been as good, but still a good team. It's the Big 12, right? Baylor was a top 10 team, back in the top 25, beats Ace. Like, there are a lot of good teams. You needed to start winning, and you needed to win a close game, a game that you came back once again and then blew at the end. And that sucks. And it's kind of depressing, to be honest with you.
Kind of.
But.
Erik loves his butts.
But Jaden Quains looked very comfortable on the offensive end, especially at the end of the game. That is massively encouraging. I'd say his best, most complete game of the season. BJ Freeman looked like a bucket, which is exactly what you said needed to happen, Totri, for ASU to compete. And they did compete, right? Like, they didn't get destroyed. UCF had a lead. They blew the lead. And then Arizona State came back, but it was a good offensive showing. Like, Quains had 20, 26 from BJ Freeman, 15 from Alston Mason. All of this without Josan Sannon. But again, it's not about good. It's about, are you good enough to compete in the Big 12? Arizona State now in the bottom 5 of the Big 12, 1-4 in conference, 4 games back from the top, 10-6 overall. Oklahoma State, Kansas State, Cincinnati, Colorado are all below, with Cincinnati and Colorado being 0-4 in conference. Cincinnati is your next opponent. If you lose to Cincinnati,
Kiss the tournament goodbye. They literally last night they just couldn't beat one guy. That's what it was.
the guy is good, but yeah.
He's good, but that Arizona State as a team lost to Keyshawn Hall last night.
Yeah.
40 points, 7 boards, 6 assists. I told you a little bit ago, only the second player in Big 12 history to do all that in a win, joining Oklahoma's Austin Reeves as the other person to do it in Big 12 history. Just, again, you can't afford to have that, right? Defensively, and you let it happen on your home court. UCF came in here. Keyshawn Hall came into DFA last night and said, I got this. And he did. Dropped a 40-burger, beat Arizona State despite Alston Mason having 15, despite BJ Freeman having 26, despite Jaden Quains having 20 points, 7 boards, and 5 blocks. Like, it does not matter. It did not matter. Keyshawn Hall single-handedly beat Arizona State. You can't afford to have that happen in this conference, not when there are other teams, and I say that as in teams, because Kansas is a team, Iowa State is a team, Houston's a team, Arizona's a team. You got beat by one guy. What happens when you go and you play these other teams? When you play them on the road, right? When you play in Iowa State in a few games, when you play a good West Virginia team, they just showed you last night that they can't stop teams with stars.
Do you remember when I crashed out after the Idaho State win?
No.
No, you do. You do. First game of the season, they won 55-48 in a really ugly game. And
That was such an ugly game.
I was so negative. And a lot of people were like, hey, man, you're being a little too negative.
I'm not being I'm not being too negative.
I saw the signs.
I saw the signs.
This was written on the wall. Like you saw this coming, right? You didn't want it to happen. But in non-con play, yeah, they had a good record, right? But they didn't really have these performances that you're like, this team is different. They had some good close wins over New Mexico. They beat Grand Canyon. They beat Santa Clara, who's a decent team. You know, you only lost to Gonzaga in Florida on a neutral site or on the road, right? And you blew out a team like St. Thomas, who you should have blown out, but that game was closer than it should have been, right? You only beat Cal Poly by 4 points, right? You blow out San Diego. Whoop-de-freaking-do, man. Like, the writing was on the wall for this team as far as when it gets to the Big 12, what does it look like? Do they have the ability to hang? And when they got punked game number 1 by a BYU team who is 2-3 in conference now, and their other win is against Oklahoma State, who is at the bottom of the conference with Arizona State right now, you haven't had a great showing. Your only win was over Colorado, who's last place in the conference.
They're not good.
No.
They're not a good team right now. They've got good players. Jayden Quaintance is a good player. Josan Sannon's a good player. BJ Freeman is a good player. But right now, this team is not finding ways to win. That is a problem. That is something that you can't afford to happen in this conference. You can't afford to have this happen with this type of talent. Jayden Quaintance, you can't waste a 20-point, 7-board, 5-block night at home. You cannot do it against a winnable team. There was a point in the game where Jayden Quaintance was the only guy that could stop Keyshawn Hall. Yeah. We got a 17-year-old kid guarding Keyshawn Hall, UCF's best player. And again, all credit to Quaintance, because when he was on him, he did everything in his power. But the fact of the matter is that there was not a single player last night, not over the age of 17 years old, that couldn't guard Keyshawn Hall. He gave everybody the business at DFA last night.
Yeah.
Bad basketball. That's what that was.
It's not good. It's not good, and I think fans have every right to be upset about it. Hey, as a Suns guy, hey, let me talk to you. All right.
Basketball, yeah, your basketball life is not good right now, man.
Yeah, man. Let me talk to everybody here. Sometimes the only way to get through it is to shift your expectations. Until this team proves that they can hang in the Big 12 consistently, which, hey, there's still time. It's possible. I've seen crazier things happen. Here's what Arizona State fans should be focusing on right now. Espo said this is loser mentality. I call it getting by.
Getting by?
Getting by.
Getting by.
Watch Jayden Quaintance. Watch how he improves over the season. Cling on to that guy's development and do everything you can to keep him in-house, right? NIL, whatever it is. That kid has potential to be a top 10 draft pick. And he's on Arizona State right now.
You have to keep him.
You have quite the player that you can watch grow every game and can do some of the most impressive things on the defensive side of the court imaginable. Same thing, Josan Sannnon. Sannnon could be a lottery pick. He's got to stay healthy. But him as a shooter, as a scorer, is maybe the purest that you've seen here, right? BJ Freeman's a good scorer, a good player. Bashir Jihad's a good... Like, start taking the joy in these things, because respectfully, as a team, they're just not getting it done. And I'm not entering any of these games in the Big 12 thinking they're going to get, like, they have no chance, but I'm not betting on them to win.
Yeah.
I hope they do. I'm rooting for them to do so. I don't know if they can.
I think that's all very, very valid. Guys, this is just a reminder, if you are watching us on TV, the party always continues at gophnx.com. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Again, I think you need Josan Sannnon on Saturday. You need him against Cincinnati. This is a game that is now, you know, we've asked the question over the course of the last 3. Okay, are they must wins? Do they need to win? And they've lost all 3. They lost to Kansas. They lost to Baylor. Those are excusable. You lost to 2 ranked teams that on paper are better than you. Losing last night at home to a team with one guy was not acceptable.
No.
Now you have Cincinnati on Saturday, hopefully getting your purest scorer back in Josan Sandin. Quaintance is coming off his best offensive performance that he's had at this level. BJ Freeman's coming off one of, if not his best game this season. If you don't win Saturday, just hang it up at that point. You have to win that game.
Just start getting by.
Just start getting by. Look, before we get out of here, I do want to have a quick conversation about arguably the biggest thing going on in the Big 12 as it stands right now, and that is Coach Prime Sanders.
What about him?
Well, as it stands right now, he's still the head coach for the Colorado Buffaloes, but he is the betting favorite to be the next head coach for the Dallas Cowboys. Of course, you know the history that Jerry Jones has with Coach Prime, that Prime has with the Dallas Cowboys. But I want to sit here for a second, and I want to just talk about the impact that this would have on the Big 12, if any. I know we discussed it a little bit the other day just in terms of eyes and views and that type of stuff, because that's what Deion brings, right, to this conference. Yeah. He brings a national perspective. Every Colorado game, I believe, was nationally televised last season. That doesn't happen without Coach Prime. But what does that do in terms of the actual conference, in terms of actual football, both for the Buffs and both for everybody else?
It would be pretty big hit. It would. I mean, listen, we can sit here and we can hate on Colorado. I'm not saying we shouldn't. I'm not saying I don't want to. Right? Objectively speaking, Deion Sanders is not just good. Deion Sanders is great for business.
Great for business.
In the Big 12, period. We didn't even play them this year. But we still had Colorado fans who were invested in us and coming and talking trash to us because of what Deion has done to that fan base. I mean, respectfully, like they were pathetic. Prior to Deion. Yeah. They were pathetic.
Even the first year of Deion was pretty pathetic.
And sometimes, programs get there, right? Sometimes you make the wrong decisions, you have the wrong person leading, programs get there. They were downright pathetic, and now they're maybe the biggest blue blood SEC Big Ten program as far as national popularity goes. And they weren't they were a good team. They weren't a good enough team to be there. And that's the Deion effect.
Yeah. I think
from the Heisman.
Yeah.
Right?
The Heisman winner.
You have potential 2 top 10 draft picks. You have 2
not even potential
top 5.
Yeah, they're both top 5 picks.
Draft picks.
Yeah. They're probably both top 3, to be completely honest.
My take is that Hunter either goes top 3 or he drops to 9, and it's just the dumbest stuff you've ever heard.
Just
from
a crazy
NFL
draft.
NFL draft experts are like, well, he can't really pick one position, so do you really want to waste a top 5 pick on this guy?
It's a very interesting situation, and that's a whole different conversation with Travis Hunter, because I'm not going to get into that. But I think in terms of Coach Prime leaving for the Cowboys, I think, yes, it would hurt the program 100%. It would hurt Colorado. I think immediately that program falls into the mud. Again, you're losing Shedeur, you'd lose Travis, and then you lose Coach Prime at the end of it. That would be a really tough blow for that fan base, for that program. I don't think it'd be nearly as tough on the conference, right?
I think I disagree, because every time Colorado played somebody, that game was very important that week.
Yeah, I agree. But again, from a national perspective,
okay, national is different than a Big 12 perspective.
But how many Big 12 games are there? Right? There are far more Big 12 games than there are non-con games. Even their bowl game was against a Big 12 team.
Yeah.
And they that's just how it works, right? Or how it worked.
I'm walking with you here. So I don't know where you're going, but
people
are
watching the Big 12 games anyways. Those fan bases are watching them anyways. I see what you're saying in terms of it's Deion. Fan bases that aren't fans of those two teams are going to watch anyways. I don't know if that's necessarily the case. If I'm a
I think more casual fans will. I think I don't think it's going to put the Big 12 under.
No.
It's just not. Oh, college football will never be the same again. Oh, Deion Sanders is gone. Will they even play the sport anymore?
Yeah.
No, but it's not good for business. It hurts. But overall, I think
machine, it's good for a couple teams.
The machine will keep on.
Good for
Were we
a couple
supposed
teams.
to play them this year?
This coming year, Arizona State will play
I would
Colorado.
like Deion to be there. I'd like to play Deion with this version of our team and this version of his team. I don't know if he'll be as good next year, like once.
Yeah.
Right, because it is a shame we didn't get to play them last year. It would be objectively hilarious if we went to the Cowboys. It would be so funny. It would be so funny.
Do you think it happens?
No,
you don't think so? You think it's all just to get a contract?
I think it's leverage. Yeah. I think the Cowboys, and a lot of people are saying this is not a premier destination anymore with how they are running things. And by they, I mean Jerry. And I think that it's a lot easier to be Deion in Deion's position in Colorado than it would be to be Deion in Dallas. Not that he couldn't do it, and not that it wouldn't be the same media circus or he wouldn't have marginal success. It would be
a bigger media circus.
Yeah.
You're combining Deion Sanders and the Dallas Cowboys?
Right.
That is the biggest media circus the world has ever seen.
So what I'm saying is, like, I don't know if Deion wants that right now. I feel like Deion has something going at Colorado, and also Deion's a very competitive person, and people like us have been like, oh yeah, he's going to leave. And I feel like what he's going to do, he's going to milk one massive contract out of Colorado.
He doesn't need the money, though.
He's still going to get why else would this be leaking? Like, unless he takes it.
He doesn't need the money.
Okay, but a lot of these people don't need the money. That's not the conversation.
Look, I think there is a world. And there's a world out there, like a strange world out there. I'm not saying it's this one.
World.
Sure. Where Coach Prime leaves Colorado, and he is the next coach of the Dallas Cowboys. And the Tennessee Titans make a trade with the Dallas Cowboys. They would get Dak Prescott. They would get the Titans, or they would get the Cowboys' 12th overall pick this year, and they would get their first round pick next year, and probably a third round pick you'd have to throw in. Dallas gets the first overall pick. You pair Shador with Deion in Dallas, and you have your media circus 2.0. There's a world. I'm not saying it's this one. I'm saying there's a world.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
We've seen crazier things happen.
For sure. Yeah, no, totally a world. I would not put my mind. I think it's more likely he stays at Colorado, but I'm not saying it's like 99% Colorado. It's probably like 65-35.
Sure.
It's 67.5, 30.
I'm not getting all into that. It's certainly something to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
At the very least. Look, guys, that is going to do it for today's episode of the PHNX Sun Devils Show. Hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button. We appreciate everybody who stopped in along the way, whether you are watching live still, whether you are watching after the fact, or listening on audio. If you enjoyed the content, give us a follow at PHNX_Sun Devils on social. You can follow me at Anthony_Totri. You can follow this guy right here at Erik Ruby. That is Erik with a K. You can follow the captain of this ship, Captain Redbeard, at K Coop Sports. And we will be live on Thursday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Make sure you are there. But as always, go Sun Devils. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.